Hello YouTube, got an interesting video for you today. I'm going to try to answer a question that a lot of my friends have asked. Indeed, I was asking this question before I bought both of these cars. Is it better to have a big American practical sedan that also can do some track duty, very capably I might add, or if you can only have one car, is it better to have a sports car that is trying to be as practical as it can? And to demonstrate that practicality, I'm going to put in that car 2 5-gallon jugs of water and 10 bags of groceries. And I'm going to do that without having to contort myself to get into the back ledge of the sports car or the family car. I'm going to do that without even folding up a seat. And I'm going to do it without intruding into the passenger compartment 1 cubic centimeter. Not this car, this car. All right, so this, obviously, is a Porsche 911, but it's not just any 911. It is a Targa. And Targa, my friends, is the secret sauce to practicality. When you can only have one car and you want a really sporty, track-oriented car, Targa is it. That's why they're, frankly, very difficult to find. This beautiful thing happens to be a Heritage Edition Targa. I got lucky, but Targa is the way to go. So I'm going to show you in fast motion that I can get 2 5-gallon jugs of water and 10 bags of groceries in here, again, without bending over or contorting myself, without having to fold seats up and back or move seats up and back, and without intruding into the passenger compartment. All right. So obviously I don't need to demonstrate that the CT5-V Blackwing can carry all of the stuff that I just showed you the Targa can carry. I obviously don't need to do that. It can do that plus carry 3 or more adults. But there's a few things about the Blackwing that I just thought I'd share with you. A couple of things that I've noticed that other people are saying online that aren't exactly accurate. The first of which is the manual transmission. This beautiful baby does have a manual in it. It is a 6-speed. It's a really, really good transmission. But if you live in a climate where it gets cold, you need to know that sometimes first gear can be a little bit difficult. The transmission doesn't like to go into first gear when it's cold outside. Just something to know. The other thing is, I see a lot of people on YouTube talking about this fender vent. A lot of people have said, maybe a lot of people have guessed is a better way to say it, that evacuates high pressure from the wheel well. No, it does not. In fact, it does nothing of the sort. The air that comes out of that vent actually is caused by the pressure under the car. There are 2 holes about this big under the frame of the car. And as the pressure increases, that forces warm air out of this vent. And supposedly, the purpose of this vent is to create what's called a laminar flow. It pushes hot air out along the car to give the car more stability at high speeds. No one's ever going to feel that when they're driving, but I want to set the record straight that it does not do anything with respect to the front wheel well. Nothing. And The most important thing, I'm going to cut away to some video in just a minute to show you the mileage. Not the mileage, the miles per gallon. You know, a lot of people, the first thing they say when they talk about a Blackwing is it's got a 6.2 liter V8 supercharged. Liters are not the unit of measurement with which you will be obsessed when you own this car. It's gallons. But, and I have to say, if you drive it like a madman, like I often do, the MPG is not good, 8, 9 miles to the gallon. But what you don't see and hear are long highway trips in this car. And what also you don't hear often from reviewers is the fact that this vehicle does have the cylinder disengagement. So it will go to a 4-cylinder car when you're just cruising and taking it easy. So I'll cut to that video in a second, and I'll show you that after several hundred miles, averaging about 85, 83 miles per hour, getting fantastic gas mileage. So, you know, if you need to sell this vehicle to the boss and say, oh, honey, it's a family car and it gets great gas mileage. Well, it does, as long as you're on the highway. I'm going to cut to that right now. All right, so here you'll see that I'm presently doing 78 miles an hour. Had the vehicle up to about 90 at some points, and then with traffic down to 55, but the average you'll see here is 75.3 miles an hour for 350 miles, and it's getting 23 miles to the gallon. That's just super good. All right, and now a couple of things about the Porsche that a lot of reviewers don't really tell you. It's not their fault, it's just that they don't have the kind of seat time that I do. So if you're considering one of these vehicles, there's a couple things I'd want you to know. First, with respect to the front end lift, absolute necessity. You need it. But one thing that they don't tell you is that when you engage that lift system, the vehicle is just almost unbearably rough. There's virtually, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, I'm not an engineer, but it feels like there's virtually no suspension travel when you have the front lift engaged. The other thing about the Targa in particular, and I'm quite an advocate for the Targa, the other thing that I want you to know is if you're like me, you do take it to the track occasionally. It's 4-wheel drive only. All Targas are 4-wheel drive only. What does that do? Well, it causes some pretty significant understeer. Of course, being a rear engine vehicle, you can do what's called throttle modulated oversteer. You can, as you're entering into an apex, you can let off and get right back on it. The rear end will come around. It will significantly correct that understeer, but there is understeer. And it's very, very present and very noticeable. And you kind of have to plan for it when you're on the track with a Targa. So again, the purpose of the video is to discuss and to kind of propose which one is better, a family-oriented, practical, big sedan that can also do some serious track duty, or a sports car that is trying to be as practical as possible, and to what degree, to what level is that practicality achieved. I showed you some video of the gas mileage on this vehicle. Now I'm going to cut to a video that I shot at my brother's place. He owns an airplane, and he probably paid a guy under the table to shut down the airport so that I could do a drag on with this vehicle. So I'll cut to that now. All right, so before I run the video of the airport, first, just turn it up and soak in this beautiful sound that this thing makes. I can't believe this is a Cadillac, a big old fat guy's car. This is a Cadillac. Listen to this thing. And then the second thing I'd like for you to pick up is the fact that this thing has flat shifting. So that means that you don't let up on the throttle. You just engage the clutch and then engage the correct gear without taking your foot off the gas. That's noticeable. Try to pay attention to that when you hear it. It's awesome. Oh, he just took off. Here he comes. So, in summary, I would love to get your opinion about which of these two cars I should keep and which one should go, because I really only need one of them. So one of them's probably going to go. I'd love to get your take on which one and why. The Porsche is amazing. Every time I take it to Cars and Coffee, I get 1,000 people asking me about it. It's amazing. And not just because it's a Heritage Edition, but just the Targa in general. It's a fantastic vehicle. Super, super practical. The Blackwing is also equally amazing. And I have to say, just the aural stimulation while driving this car is just unbelievable. It makes me smile every minute of every mile that I'm in this vehicle. It's fantastic. So I'd love to hear your take on which one should stay.